think you need to monetize day one for 99% of people. I think for the 1%, it's like if you are one of the top 1% creators, that's a little bit different. But I think for the general public, you should monetize day one for a few reasons. Monetizing day one kind of gives you kind of snowball the social proof while you're creating that content, and you get a way faster feedback loop when you actually have clients that can give you information. Like for you, for example, I feel like you wouldn't have had as good of content if you didn't have all these clients telling you feedback all the time. So I think that's part of it. I also think as you grow your income, you grow your authority. And as you grow your authority, you can grow your lifestyle. And as you grow your lifestyle, you can have better content. And it's just like an infinite flywheel. But I think if you just focus on the content and you're kind of still stuck with the same income for like 6 to 12 months, your content's not going to get that much better. Like you're getting a little bit better at writing. What are you going to write about? You don't have any money. You don't have anything to write about unless you're like doing guitar or something like that. Like for the most part, you need stuff to write about. And most of that comes from being successful. So if you can't make money, you're not going to be successful. If you're not going to be successful, you have nothing worth saying, and so on. So I think to build that flywheel, you should monetize from day one.
To push back a little bit on that idea, I want to reframe the successful bit, because I find that can bring a lot of pressure to people who are listening to it, because not even successful people think they're successful, or they think they're themselves as successful. And some days people who think they're not, they actually are. Because if you look at it like a chain, we are a link in the chain. There's always going to be people ahead and behind us. I feel like it's not that you need greater success. I believe you just need greater memory to recall the things you have done in the past. And if it's like really nothing, then yeah, probably do something. But you haven't spent $1 in ads and doing your thing. You haven't done one slightly good thing for your clients. You could spin that up. I'm not against posting before you're successful. I am against posting things you haven't done. And they could be small.
I think it's much easier to stay consistent with the content if you're actually making money. Like how many people have you seen grow to 5, 7, 8K followers and then they just stop because they weren't making any money? They needed to go find a way to make money, or they just lost motivation. Like go try making a content for 1 to 2 years without monetizing is so much harder than making content for 1 to 2 years while monetizing. It's very much easier said than done. Like I've never met anyone who's just like, whoop-de-doo, great content for fun for 2 years and not make any money. Like,
yeah.
Have you?
Nah.
No.
It's like the equivalent of the guy that's always trying to hit on this girl and the girl won't let him smash. It's like, no, but we're friends. I love it. And deep down he's crying. Like he's just desperate.
Exactly. Like investing years into a friend zone. Really, it's just like, it's very unrealistic for most people. I think there is that like top 1% like YouTuber, like Mr. Beast, who's like, I made YouTube videos for 5 years, not making any money. Well, like, so we're not there anymore. You just can't, it's not going to happen. So I think it's a little bit, I think it's just a different landscape.
That's another point of, I believe a lot in learning kind of mindset from people really ahead of you, 10 steps ahead of you, take billionaires. But I'm big on learning steps and tactics from people 1 to 2 steps ahead of you. So if you're a millionaire, from a decamillionaire, if you $100,000 from somebody making $500,000, because they know the path that the people way ahead of you forgot. So I actually take advice from kind of both kinds, people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of me and people who are widely ahead of me. And it's interesting to see how those two things apply. So I was listening to the Elon pod today, and I was listening to my mentor's kind of courses today, and both really gave me some really good perspectives.
I agree on that totally. Like I always want my mentor to be like kind of doing what I'm doing, just a little bit better and a few steps ahead. And then I'll learn like my general mindset and business principles from either autobiographies, podcasts, or if I'm like the videos from the billionaires. Like I love hearing Mr. Beast say, do something for 10 years. Well, like it's great, but how's that going to make me make an extra 10K next month? Like, you know what I mean? So you need to have, I think you're spot on. Like I definitely like both.
Did Elon grow up rich?
So that's actually a misconception. People thought he grew up rich because of his dad, but what had happened was, and I don't want to butcher it, but his dad essentially was like co-owned this emerald mine. Basically, Elon got sent to America, didn't have any money, and kind of started from zero. But his dad did have some money, but he wasn't really as rich as people thought. And he also hates his dad and thinks he's a demon. And the dad is actually like really weird, like an incest, like all sorts of creepy stuff if you read the biography. So in short, no, which is a misconception. He did bootstrap. It's not like Donald Trump, like a small loan of $1 million.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the incest, but I am a fan of people going over the deep, gritty, dark stuff. I think that gives biographies depth.
You're reading the biography right now?
No.
Ugh. You'll like it if you like the deep, dark stuff. It's really dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So you could do that from 2 p.m. onwards when you have nothing better to do. This guy's old and retired.
They actually did that today. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Elon, and you can learn a lot about these things. These people, not about only what they say, but how do they do everyday things. I'll give you an example. Rogan was talking about an atrocity, which is pizza with double pineapple and double anchovies. You believe this? Right? Cancel. And he was telling Elon about it. And while they were talking about it, like, if I were there talking to Joe, I'd be like, oh, well, that's gross, but cool. Next topic. Elon said, you know what? Let's order some right now. It's 11 p.m., but let's order some right now. You can learn a lot about how these guys act on an everyday basis.
Yeah, I thought so too. He actually did touch on it in the pod about like the dark childhood. He was like, I used to get beat up in school, like punched in the face. He basically grew up in like a really weird South African private school or public school that was like super brutal. That podcast was great.
Well, I have 1 hour to go, but let's make this podcast great. Okay. I want to talk blurry line. So blurry lines between service and what you do. I find that boundaries are helpful in theory, but blurry lines are helpful in practice. I'll give you an example. Often I will get asked a question, and the boundary there is I won't help them do the thing because maybe it's not a done for you service. So it's not in the definition of the service that they purchased. But I find that line is okay to blur if you're kind of in a season of like, this just has to happen and I really want to get good results for them. So it's okay to maybe go a little bit, like step a little bit over your own boundary and be like, okay, whatever, if this is needed, let's just hop on a call and sort it out. And this happened this week when I opened up Likes and Cash. So now I'm a big fan of capping spots. We filled it out 9 spots in 3 days out of 10. So I was really pumped about that. But I also got kind of scared because it's the first time we have onboarded 9 clients in a week. So I'm thinking like, I want to give these guys good treatment. I want to make sure that they get good stuff. And I only take calls on Mondays. But this week I thought, like, I really want to make sure they get something right. So I sent all of them my Calendly and be like, book a call, one-on-one. And I just want to make sure you guys are on the right track because frankly, I got scared because I've never had that much volume. So if right now, maybe you are in a situation in which like maybe your clients, you really want to make sure they get good results or maybe they're not getting as good results as they could. It's okay to blur the line between that done for you and done with you line and just, roll your sleeves and get to work with them. It's not, you don't have to be that rigid. You can do whatever the business needs you to do at that point in time.
I feel you so well. I just had the exact same moment. We had basically we're onboarding like 4 clients in less than 2 weeks, which is, for me, that's the most ever in such a short amount of time. It's 4 clients in 10 days. And I was just like, fuck, like, I'm trying to like be my own assistant and like, what are the things I need to do right now? And just like opening spreadsheets and doing all sorts of shit that I've like typically passed on, but I totally feel that. And I think also, especially like it's just taking responsibility for your own product. You know what I mean? At a certain point.
Yeah. It's not taking yourself too seriously and just doing the work that needs to be done.
Yeah. Like I'm not Jeff Bezos, like, but at the end of the day, it's still our business. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sometimes it gets to her head. It's like, bro, get over yourself. Like, it's okay if you sleep 7.5 hours and not 8. It's okay if there's no almond milk or whatever. Like, just
shut up. Pull up the Google Doc. Pull up the Google Doc and write some fucking tweets. Like, shut up.
Yeah. What's maybe a story you have that you just were like, okay, right now it's a no distraction day or week or month, and you just went really hard on the things that needed to be done at that time. Do you have an example of that or a story of that?
Yeah, I'd say like the last 3 weeks has been probably like very pressing for me just because I moved from Bali to New Hampshire to Miami. I had a wedding while onboarding 4 clients. Like, it's been hardcore. So I'm just like, every spare minute I've had is just like open the laptop and do stuff. Like, if you have a spare minute, open the laptop and do stuff is what I've been trying to do. And I think everyone has a point in their business where it's just so pressing and you're like, I guess I just need to like shut the fuck up and like work. Just like, it's kind of like when you first start like when you have to get really gritty when you first start. I feel like that's kind of a moment I had, is just having no time and just having to like put the grit on. Specifically, like the 4 clients we had also needed setters, and I'm like, fuck. Now is like onboard 4 clients, but also onboard and hire 4 setters and train 4 of them while also helping my writers. I'm just like, it was a lot.